So I really want to be a stay-at-home mom. So like,
What would you want his income to be? If you're going to be a stay-at-home mom, like what kind of range would his income be?
like 300,000. Like, I guess if they made less than that, I feel like we wouldn't have the lifestyle I wanted.
$500,000? I don't want any of my income to be needed in the family. I want the man to be 100% the supporter, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to work and I'm not going to have my own business or whatever. I just me to have to use my income at all.
If I'm painting a picture, if it's my ideal life, I would love to just be a stay-at-home wife.
Probably 150 to $250,000 a year.
If your wife can spend more than you make, like, you need to make more money, so it really just depends.
650,000.
So you said you want 500K, but what do you think the median income is for a 30-year-old?
60K, 70K, 50K.
It is $45,000.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. For a 32-year-old, what do you think the median income is for this age specifically?
I'm gonna go with probably like 85K a year.
It's $48,000.
I think it's 250,000.
It's $52,000.
What? No, it's not.
So what's the issue? Well, they meet people, they date people, they marry men that don't meet those standards because they're not going to be able to find them, but they're going to resent them, and ultimately that leads to unhappiness. The odd thing about them all wanting to be stay-at-home wives and moms and have kids and families is that all of those things are usually not things men think about. Like, don't get me wrong, I have a son, right? And I'm married and I'm happy. I love it. But I've never spent my life thinking about getting married or having children. My wife wanted children. She didn't have any kids. She said when we met, she made it known that she was important to her. And so we had a child, and I'm very happy we did. But if it wasn't for her saying that, we wouldn't have a child, because it just wasn't something that I thought, hey, I need this to be happy. I want it to be part of my life. You know what I mean? So that's why it's funny when then it gets thrown in your face, right? Why do all this stuff? I raised the kids and I spend all this time doing this stuff, and I'm raising your child. And it's like, well, we have child because, it was important to you. You said your clock was running out, or whatever reason may be, right? And I stay home and I do this. Well, it's because you wanted this, but then it'll be thrown in your face. And not everybody does that, God forbid, My wife doesn't. But I see it all the time, and I just think it's ironic because most women, this is thing. They dreamt of the wedding day. They want kids and these things they want. And then when they don't see it, though, as a blessing, right? If you find a man that is able to support you, give you a child, and let you stay at home, you should be grateful, because you're one of the few that can do that. Instead, they're going to throw it in your face. The same thing with the cleanliness. I see it online a lot. Women complaining, oh, well, I do all this emotional labor and I clean up around the house and all this unpaid labor. I think it's funny because, I lived alone, right, before, and I was fine with my level of cleanliness, my level of emotional labor that I was doing, But then you meet a woman or whatever, partner, and they come in and they start cleaning up everything, and they have different standards, and they want you to adhere to those standards. And if you don't, they get mad. You leave the dishes in the sink or something. Then all of a sudden, it's a fight because you're not adhering to their standards, even though maybe they moved in with you, right? So if you see that when you frame it like this, it's very unreasonable and toxic. The same thing with the emotional labor. Somebody comes in, next thing they're like, hey, you know what? I'll send the Christmas cards, or I'll do this, or whatever emotional labor. And you're like, yeah, but I didn't ask you to. I didn't ask you to do any of these things. You're volunteering to do all these things, and then, you whip up articles and, Women's Daily or Vogue or whatever, talking about women's unpaid labor is $200,000, or, being a mother should be paid $300,000. And then you tell your husbands this, and it's a reason for you to argue and get mad. And I'm sitting there like, ma scusi, what are you talking about? All this stuff was only so you would be happy, that I thought that this is what you wanted. So I'm adhering to all this stuff. And then you get bitched at, So, all of this money, $500,000. If that was it, I wouldn't be upset. Like, you want a guy who makes $500,000. Great. Here's a guy who makes $500,000. But that's not all. That's not all, okay? Because they're going to want a house exactly how they want it. Then they want you to work around the house, to fix things, to keep a certain level of cleanliness, Then they want you to spend time with the kid, you to do this. And then at the end, when they're unhappy, they take away the child, they keep the house, and you have to pay child support. All of this stuff from you had a life where you were making the 500K, living alone, living your best life. Suddenly you find yourself giving away half of everything you have and paying out all this money. And why? Because you tried to make this woman happy. And in the end, all you really wanted, all the things that men usually dream about, is having a woman, having a partner. That's all we want. We don't care how much money she makes. We don't care how clean she is. We don't care if she can cook. Really, we just want her, and to grow together. But what she wants becomes what we want, right? Because it becomes a couple thing. And that's where you get screwed. So my advice is to find someone who doesn't want much, who's humble, who's laid back, easygoing, and find that person. But, it's difficult because you can find someone like that, and then unfortunately they become someone different once you get married. So it's really tough. I don't know. I'm very lucky. My wife is from Poland. She has kind of a different mentality. She's very, very, very patient and easygoing. And she's very patient with me especially. And that's I don't know, it works out. But I was really lucky, and I didn't find someone like that until I was in my late 30s. I went through a lot of people that I knew were incompatible, and I was going to be unhappy, and still, even now, I'm married and everything. You look, you have a lifetime you have to spend together. And I'll do my best to keep it together. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? What do you think is wrong with women today? I mean, and then we'll talk about what's wrong with men. It's not just exclusive to women. I think it's a toxic mentality. Men have unrealistic expectations. Women have unrealistic expectations. It's just this video and specifically featured women, and so I wanted to highlight it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And, until next time, thank you.